So are you going to sit here and say I was still wrong? 35 minutes ago, it was announced that Donald Trump was going to enact the Insurrection Act of 1808. The Insurrection Act of 1808 is an act that allows the U.S. president, under comprisement of different laws, to activate the U.S. military against civilians under an insurrection. And 35 minutes ago, man announced that he wanted to enact that against Portland. Now, I clearly remember teaching to y'all nonstop that Abraham Lincoln had 3 acts, and those 3 acts were the important acts that we have to watch for a civil war. And the 3 acts have to do with the Insurrection Act of 1808, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, as well as the suspension of writ of habeas corpus, the Fifth Amendment. Donald Trump has already enacted the Alien Enemies Act under Marco Rubio's guidance for him to start deporting people based off of what they said in their social media when they were stopping people at airports, as well as deporting people under a threat, saying that it's the Latinos y también la otra país, como que este debajo de los Estados Unidos. The suspension of the writ of habeas corpus, the suspension of the Fifth Amendment, well, that not only happened with ICE, but that happened with the arrest of judges. People on soil, American citizens, are not allowed to invoke the Fifth Amendment. So that gives the power to the president for him to conduct any arrests based off of any means without the rights of due process to homegrown Americans. That's why he was threatening to arrest judges. And he did, in Wisconsin. Now we come to the Insurrection Act of 1808. The Insurrection Act of 1808 was used by a couple of presidents, including Donald Trump during 2017 and 2020, the George Floyd riots. But what people missed what happened in 2020 was he was not given the permission of the U.S. military. He wasn't allowed to enact it. Now he's saying he's going to enact it in order to federalize the U.S. military and be able to supersede what the judges are saying and blocking, which is him using and mobilizing the National Guard against the American people. Now you're probably like, Chewbacca, what does this mean next? What it means next is we have to prepare for the Civil War. The Civil War was done in 1861 on April 12th when Abraham Lincoln decided to go to war after an explosion in Fort Sumter, South Carolina. Unalived a lot of people. Respectively, Abraham Lincoln wasn't allowed to use the U.S. military, so he had to comprise his own militia, and that's why they started off with 75,000 volunteers. Those volunteers got up to 168,000. We lost 620,000 people. Yeah. Shadowing is when Donald Trump decided to stop the funding to different states. That's exactly what Abraham Lincoln did to the states that didn't agree with him in the South. The secession of the states were the states trying to succeed. They were trying to leave. They didn't want to be a part of the Union. And they didn't want to be a part of the Union because they still had free slaves. They had slaves that they didn't have to pay for to make their agriculture and their production, meaning that they would make more money and more trade. That's actually what's happening in the United States of America today, California being one of the most affluent states in this country, but also the one with the most contracts outside of the United States, including with Germany, France, je ne sais pas. What is it to gain if this country goes into a civil war? Law and order. Donald Trump calling the country in certain areas war-ravaged and changing the Department of Defense to Department of War is a sign.
You've been putting in work when nobody sees, planting seeds in silence, watering dreams, smiling through pain, still showing up. Even when life keep calling your bluff, they don't know what it costs you to stay in the race. The prayers you whispered with tears on your face, but you never folded, never sat still. That kind of faith gon' break through for real. Your time coming, I feel it in the wind. All that grind, all that pain, about to turn to winds. Every no you heard, God gon' flip to yes. Every closed door was just a divine test. So keep going hard, don't slow down, yeah. You ain't worked this long just to have regrets. You about to rise like you always knew. Your time coming, it's overdue. You kept showing love even when they switched. Kept walking light when life got dark quick. You poured into others while running on E. But baby, breakthrough coming, just wait and see. You ain't crazy, you chosen. God saw the night you were broken. He kept receipts on every try, and he gon' bless you right on time. Your time coming, stay in position. The table's turning in your favor, no permission. They gon' act like they always knew. your time coming. Let 'em move. Yeah. You